Okay, let's not tease it anymore. Are you ready, Artosis?
I am ready, chill. Bring me to the promised land.
All right, I'll bring you and everyone over to the promised land. This is the finals of the TSL qualifier number 7. Let's see who can take down game number 1 on Zelnaga Caverns.
Welcome to TeamSpeak, advanced voice communication software for any platform. TeamSpeak allows groups of people to communicate and share information with anyone via the internet or through private networks. Using your Windows, Mac or Linux-based computer, all you need is a headset with microphone, and in minutes you can be chatting with others in real time, using our crystal clear voice technology.
Okay, so here we are. We finally arrived in the finals, grinding through. I don't even know how many people signed up for this. Hundreds and hundreds. We've reached the top 2. We're here on Zelnaga Caverns. Spotting in the top right as the green Zerg, we have mouzMorroW. And his opponent in the bottom left from the land of Warcraft, we have PraeNightEnD.
Well, NightEnD better pray that he knows this matchup very, very well because we've already seen mouzMorroW certainly does. And when that kid's macro gets going, chill. It is going to send chills down your spine.
Yeah. It's really scary. NightEnD, hasn't really shown that he likes to fast expand, and if he did, this would probably not be the map to do it. Really difficult to hold a Forge Cannon expand unless you know your placements very nicely. I'm going to be interested to see if he goes for the kind of, I'm doing air quotes now, standard 4-gate, very strong on this map. mouzMorroW, meanwhile, 1 versus 1 map, maybe not going to feel comfortable putting down his quick hatchery when his opponent knows his position this easily. We saw him kind of favor the pool first build when he played his past ZVP against Insolence. Let's see if he follows suit here in game number 1 against NightEnD.
Well, it does look like, in fact, he's going to do that, and I gotta say, I'm not too surprised by mouzMorroW for doing so. He loves to play safe. I think that he's definitely one of the more confident players that I've ever met, and being confident is going to make you do something like this. In fact, look at other Zergs that play in this way. For instance, Idra, a very confident player as well. And when you're confident, you're just like, okay, I have to do something pretty safe so I don't get cheesed out early, such as this build. Get your speed, get your pool up before you expand, and then try to outplay your opponent by forcing a longer game.
See the extractor up now for mouzMorroW. Pool about to complete. Go ahead and take a look at the APM tab. mouzMorroW down at a comfortable 140. Meanwhile, NightEnD way up at 220. So not quite the 300 or 400s we've seen before, but playing a little bit quickly here. NightEnD going to work on the wall in, putting down the cybernetic score to isolate that little bit of area to wall in. Meanwhile, we've got a probe really dancing and jiving there at the natural expansion. mouzMorroW going to make his standard 4 Zerglings as he moves towards the natural. Going to drive that probe away, probe immediately running away, and the hatchery is going to go down now.
Very good timing by NightEnD, knowing exactly when those things are coming out. Scouts the hatchery, which is the main issue with this probe right now. You really want to see if they're getting that or not, to see if there's going to be an all-incoming. With no all-incoming, he chooses already to get his second gas, so looks like we're not going to see any Mongo rushes here, chill.
Never say never, Artosis, never say never. Got all the chrono boosts being used now. Probe gonna run up. Zerglings of mouzMorroW gonna run up and scout just a single gateway. Meanwhile, NightEnD has not shown any follow-up yet. He's only got his single gateway. He's got his cybernetic score with warp gate research being chrono boosted. And 1, 2. So it's gonna be 3 gates thus far. Not a lot of minerals built up, so we can't afford the 4th. So it looks like it's just gonna be a 3-gate pressure, and then he can take it in a multitude of directions.
Yeah, when you get that sentry first that mouzMorroW has seen, as well as 2 gas, adding up those 3 gateways, it's pretty obvious that NightEnD does want to bring this out to at least a natural expansion. You need a lot of sentries to be able to do that safely. And so I think that we're going to enter into some sort of macro game. Now, mouzMorrow's going to have to be just a little bit careful. If NightEnD can get up and actually secure the gold base, then it gets a little bit harder for Zerg. So Morrow's going to have to be on top of spreading his creep as well as droning at all the right times, as we see he's doing correctly right now.
Yeah, that's a really key point. Despite there being a lot of different paths, I mean, there's a backdoor path out of the natural, and there's 4 paths through the center. Once it becomes gold base versus gold base, they're really, really close. I mean, it's about 2 screens apart, and that's a really uncomfortable situation for the Zerg player to be in. We've seen a lot of games where Protoss can just sit there and bring that to a victory, and Zerg really slowly gets choked out once they've given up that gold base to the Protoss. So let's see how Morrow kind of mitigates that problem, putting down a Roach Warren now, making all drones. So he's really, really working on that economy, and it shows. Harvester count 37 versus 30, and income about 30 to 40% in Morrow's favor. Evolution Chamber also on the way, and NightEnD now getting his expansion down with a lot of sentries, as you said, Artosis.
Yeah, everything pretty solid so far from both players. It really does look like it's going to enter a macro game. Now, I'm a little bit interested that he's actually gotten a Roach Warren this quickly. He did see that Nexus going down, so obviously not going to get attacked too fast. But not making a lot of roaches, just a few here and there. Maybe he wants to take down some rocks and be able to actually get his third base up in the place of his choosing.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get aggressive with this, as the Evolution Chamber has begun the +1 missile attacks. That really doesn't lend itself to any sort of rush attack. But as you said, Morrow already going to work on the destructible rocks at the gold base. So maybe going to take that down very quickly and throw up a third hatchery quickly there as well. Meanwhile, NightEnD sitting on the 3 warp gates, no tech to really back this up. He's got a forge out though, putting up a cannon to give himself a little bit of control, and a lot of sentries here. He's got 6 sentries building up energy. Some of them are already headed towards that 200 energy mark, and it looks like it's going to be a robotics facility follow-up here for NightEnD.
You know, a pretty valid follow-up there. Does have that cannon out to stop any tomfoolery with Zergling harassment or Roach Burrow. Obviously, he doesn't know yet how far along the layer is for Morrow, which we, of course, know that is already done. But going to go up here, poke a little bit. Morrow has not started a third base yet, but NightEnd's going to have to be very, very careful. Morrow does have speed upgrade, and he does have a lot of roaches, so if NightEnd overcommits to any pressure, then Morrow may be able to actually take out that little army, and losing those sentries would be the absolute worst thing in the entire world for Protoss right now.
And I like how Morrow's played this. He's played it the way a lot of people talk about Zerg, but not many can do it. He made a few roaches so he didn't die to anything sneaky, and then as soon as he saw with his scouting Zergling that NightEnD was pushing up forward with his army, he made 12 roaches. So he's got a significant army now, and looks like he's going to push south to put a little pressure on NightEnD.
Taking that third base, the gold expansion, very important. Not getting Burrow, but +2 on the way, as well as Chill calls it, Glilial Reconstruction. Never heard it called that before you said it, Chill. But yeah, he is walking down, deciding to put on some pressure. And, you know, that's pretty smart, make him waste some force fields. But if you don't have Burrow, then suddenly you can start losing a lot of roaches, and that is not what you want to do. 2 or 3 roaches lost early. That's 2 or 3 less roaches that you have later on when you really need them.
Yeah, definitely. And especially playing with these fairly close positions, once we get to the gold base, attacks can come very quickly, so want to keep that army as large as possible. Morrow, he's got an Overseer, going to move into the main base, see that there's a robotics bay, researching the extended thermal lance, and he's going to have none of that, shutting it down immediately. So that's going to be 30 seconds wasted until that gets decontaminated. Looks like we just have a lot of gateway units on the way here. Colossus on the way as well, and +1 upgrade on the way for Protoss. So sitting back, and this is where, whoa, that's a lot of gateways. Looks like NightEnD wants to drop 3 more gateways. This is where I get a little bit nervous, and NightEnD showed a lot of skill against TT1 playing this defensive style, but I'm worried that he's going to sit back a little too long. Morrow's going to reach that critical mass that NightEnD just can't deal with.
Well, you know, Morrow already has 64 drones. He's already fully droning his gold base just as it pops open, perfectly as any good Zerg should. You know, he's getting that Hydralisk Den. He's got a ton of roaches out, enough to hold off anything that NightEnD can send right now. So yeah, I mean, NightEnD may wait just a little bit too long. Morrow, when he really gets going, Look at his creep. It's doing a good job. He's got to get a little bit more out, though, so he can get a really good surface area on NightEnd's army. But it's going to be hard for NightEnd. I think a lot of it's going to come down to exactly where mouzMorroW chooses to engage and how the force fields go.
Yeah, force field's going to be so key. If mouzMorroW makes one misengagement, it's really going to end in NightEnd's favor, especially if he attacks in these small chokes by the Xel'Naga watchtowers. But I think waiting and basing your tactics on mouzMorroW making a mistake is not something you should really gamble on. A lot of creep tumors coming down, as you said. NightEnd clearing his gold expansion, going to throw down that Nexus. And take a look at the supplies: 140 for NightEnd and 174 for mouzMorroW. That is scary.
That is scary, but NightEnd is he is impressing me all over the place, as is mouzMorroW. mouzMorroW taking the 4th base just as the gold expansion goes up for NightEnd, but NightEnd playing so smartly, not really engaging yet, just sitting there trying to get maxed out while taking his 3rd, and that's exactly how you should play Stalker Colossus. You know, just sit there, play defensive, poke here and there if he gets over aggressive in his expanding, but don't really commit. You know, he's using these smaller hallways to defend against roaches. mouzMorroW knows he can't just, you know, walk in there and engage because force fields will go everywhere and things will turn bad. So just beautiful, beautiful play by NightEnd at this point.
Yeah, that's the key point I want to reiterate. Despite mouzMorroW being maxed, he can't just attack, because once he travels through one of these small hallways, force fields are just going to cut him up, and it's going to turn into basically a unit donation, and that's not something mouzMorroW wants to do until he's ridiculously ahead, and he hasn't reached that point yet. He's moving forward. Let's see the force fields. Force fields are okay so far, but looks like mouzMorroW going to burrow and run through. A lot of Corruptors doing damage to the Colossus. I'm surprised mouzMorroW is actually attacking here, running right past the force fields, really taking it to NightEnd. Supply showing that mouzMorroW is in a dominant position. Looks like you can just attack through there, and mouzMorroW getting it done. A lot of Stalkers left. The Guardian Shield of the Sentry's getting taken out, but NightEnd holds. But look at the supplies. 175 for mouzMorroW, only 111 for NightEnd. Really, really strong play by mouzMorroW.
Yeah, that was actually kind of wild. I mean, mouzMorroW used his burrow movement very, very well there, and NightEnd just did not seem to be quite ready for that. You know, his Stalkers were on the wrong side. He had to micro them out of the way of those Corruptors, and that gave mouzMorroW the time he needed to make it a very effective burrow movement. So the tiniest mistake, and mouzMorroW takes advantage. Just beautiful, beautiful moves by him. NightEnd is going to have to really base his defense around the cannons at that gold base for now.
Yeah, a really difficult situation for NightEnd to be in. mouzMorroW is maxed yet again. He's got +2 attack on his roaches. Is he working on level 3? No, he's working on Carapace now, and Flyer attack actually for his Corruptors. And looks like he wants to press the issue yet again. Moving in, Corruption goes it down immediately on the Colossus. That's going to get sniped out. Second one running down, and this may be it already. mouzMorroW just looking so dominant, taking it right to NightEnd and driving straight through the cannons. Despite NightEnd being in a good defensive position, he cannot handle the pressure and falls to mouzMorroW in game number 1. GG.
Wow, that was actually really great play by mouzMorroW. NightEnd played very well as well. You know, made a couple little mistakes, and mouzMorroW just capitalizes on those instantly.
mouzMorroW looking scarier and scarier the more I see him, and if he can make it through on either points or by winning this TL Open, I'm going to be really excited to see what he can bring to TSL number 3. Looks like game number 2 is going to move on to NightEnd's map choice, and he's going to take it to the standard PVZ Lost Temple, which we've seen what mouzMorroW can do there when he took it to Insolence in series number 2 of the semifinals of this tournament.